Welcome. We are so happy to have you here. Just a reminder of how these group calls work is we're going to start it off with wins. You don't know who needs to hear it. I do know that you need to hear it. Verbalizing those wins is so big. And so be thinking about it. What good happened this week? Is it that you hired a new person, closed some deals, maybe you collected some money, or look your revenue from last month, or maybe you just learned something that you think would be valuable for somebody else here. And so I want us to already be kind of thinking about what wins, what good is happening. Like I said, your coaches need to hear it. You need to hear it. Everybody else needs to hear it. So don't be shy.
I've
And
got a few
then,
wins.
oh, please tell us, Pete.
Yeah. So I completely read Profit First, opened my accounts, transferred all the money that needs to be transferred into those accounts. My estimates are easier using the tool that you provided for the
Estimate tool.
Excel. My project manager is receptive to his coaching, and he's made a difference in his performance this week. We received 5 Google reviews and posted 2 positions and receiving candidates.
Oh my gosh, what did you guys not do last week?
Oh
I
my
did
goodness.
everything Nicole told me to do.
That is a
Oh my
diligent
gosh.
doer right there,
Yeah.
Pete. If
Yeesh.
I'm blown away. I'm so excited for all the growth that you're already experiencing and gearing up to experience. I just really appreciate your coachability and willingness to implement. So congrats.
I appreciate
Excited
you
to meet
guys.
with you today and hear about it.
I appreciate you guys, and it's definitely showing in the business already. So
Wow. I'm impressed. You covered 6 topics in 1 week or 1 meeting. That's amazing. That's something that you can only do with the diligent doer that really will just knock out all the stuff.
Yep.
You can't give more than, yeah, that's awesome.
Love it. What other wins do we have going on today, guys?
I've got one that a couple people might need to hear. The big win of the week is that I avoided hiring the wrong salesperson.
Ooh. Tell us more.
Yes.
So I was interviewing a sales guy who's doing something similar to what we're doing, but he had gotten upside down on a few projects and was really stronger on the sales end than on the fulfillment end of the business. And so I said, well, you could entertain just coming to sell for us. But over the course of 3 days, he started to view that more, merging 2 companies together and started asking for more and more. And so what started out as just a straight sales commission turned into asking for a higher sales commission plus a base salary, plus a truck, plus. And so we decided that in the end, I just said, well, maybe it'd just be better if you subcontract with us. And if you have a big project you want some help with, we'll work together. But I don't think it's going to work for us right now. So avoiding that was our big win of the week. Is it the feeling was telling me that I was go down a road. I was going to be backwards progress rather than forward.
nice.
That's so
Brandon, yes. Trust your gut with those and don't let it kill your faith in the position, team. Whenever you hire the wrong person.
No, not like I know that I need help in that area eventually,
Good.
but it just I think for a lot of us that we get really optimistic about what the possibilities are and don't always do our full due diligence and trust that gut feeling. And I've gotten in trouble with that before, as I'm sure a few other people have. And so the big win was avoiding that this time.
Yes.
good. Huge.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next week you have a win of you hired the right person. So keep us posted. Jason, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so I'm more than doubled our reviews this week. Granted, we only had 2. We got 3 this week, so we're up to 5. So I see that as a win.
That is progress,
That is.
Jason. That
Yes,
is
sir.
a win. I know those are hard to get. You probably have a lot of clients here who feel the exact same way of every single one of those reviews. You work hard to get it, and they are worth celebrating.
Yep.
I love the delivery of that.
Yeah.
You got me.
What other wins do we have going on today, team? Going once. Going twice. Okay. Well, for those of you who have attended a couple group calls in the past, you know how this is going to work. What we're going to jump into is a open Q&A. There's really no rhyme or reason or wrong or right way of going about this. It's the most powerful hour of the week because you've got not just coaches here to give you advice, but other business owners who are in the trenches with you, a lot of them being in similar industries, if not the same industry as you. And so they're able to give you really hands-on, tangible advice that your coach might not even be able to give. And so what questions, what feedback, what is weighing heavy on your mind this week that you would love some help solving? Let's just fire away. Either raise the hand or unmute and tell us what's happening. Scott, I see your hand up.
Well, question for everyone is how do you handle when somebody comes to put their 2-week notice in? It's a highly valued, great employee that you would love to keep, but they've found another job, and the job they found really is overpaying them. Do you try to keep that employee, or you just trying to get some ideas of how people handle that situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Does anybody have some advice on maybe you've been in that situation before?
I've ran into that situation to where, I mean, it just did not work for our dollars to give them a raise to what they were offered. And it's just one of those deals that we just had to say, good luck, you know. I didn't want to hold a guy back from bettering himself, but we just were not in a position to where we could pay, you know, I think it was $5 or $6 an hour that we were going to have to pay him. And we just weren't there. And he was a good employee. He wasn't a great employee. He was a good employee. And but we didn't have it in the bank, basically. So we just had to, split our ways.
I think that showing a true value in the culture of your company and maybe throwing some money at them would make a difference if it's worth it.
I think that's really
Any
good
ideas
advice.
on maybe incentives or anything? I mean, it still costs money, but maybe something that's not directly money related. Any ideas on that?
That's going to be a lot more situational based on the desires of the person and to some extent their role, right? But yeah, the most memorable things in terms of compensation are usually not money. The bonuses or incentives that I remember getting from companies that I worked for have been something that wasn't direct dollars. You know, it was a sponsorship for some bike stuff that I was trying to do for the Ironman or something like that. But yeah, I think that would be a little bit more situational. And I had another thought with it that I was going to share, but I forgot it. So I'll come back out.
I think Philip asked a really good question, is why is he wanting to leave? Is it just that he, was he looking around because he wanted more money, or is it a benefits thing, or do we know? What has he given you kind of a reason, Scott?
Yeah, he drives quite a ways, and he's a second-year apprentice. He drives quite a ways to our office every day, about an hour, and he just found a job closer where he wouldn't have to drive, number one, and they gave him a significant, like $5 an hour raise. And I've toying and I put out there that, you know, in a few months we were planning on giving him a company truck and paying his gas anyway. So I've thought about accelerating that and giving him a slight raise, you know, like maybe a, you know, $1 raise at the most.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And I just wanted to kind of he is a great employee. He is the kind of employee that we want. You know, he's the kind of guy that when he shows up at your house, it's no problem letting him in. You know, he's professional, quick learner, you know, just everything you want. Young guy. And you know, I think he's got a great future, and we'd just love to have him at our company. But I don't want to also create a culture of, well, if we want to raise, you know, we just
Threatened to
say we
leave.
got another job offer somewhere else. And, you know, I just don't want that culture to start in the company either. But I don't want to, you know, pass up on somebody because, you know, we could incentivize them or something and get them to stay either. So just
Yeah.
trying to work through that.
Yeah. I love the idea of giving him a truck and gas because my guess is that's the biggest reason is the commute, you know? It sounds like he wants to work for you guys, but with the commute and the money, it's hard to say no. And so with giving him the truck and the gas, and then don't feel like one, I would really make sure that he is producing the revenue that you expect for him to produce. You know, just because he's like a really good employee, like shows up on time, has a great attitude, which is awesome. We want to make sure that he's producing the revenue we expect somebody to producing in their own van. And if he's not, it's an opportunity to say, hey, I am more than happy to give you this raise, or you can implement some type of bonus structure where it's like, hey, I need you hitting $6,000 per week in revenue that you're bringing in, you know, and I'm just throwing that number out there, guys, but let's say that's the goal. And it's like, hey, I need you bringing in $6,000 per week. And if you hit that $6,000, I'm going to give you $100 bonus. And for every $500 that's above that $6,000, I'm going to give you another 50, and I'm not going to cap it. And so that's a way where you could give him a raise, but it's not just adding to his hourly, it's incentivizing him based on the work that he is doing. Like he has an opportunity to make a lot more money based on those incentives. And so I love
I love
any
that
type
because
of
it
gives
gives
yeah,
you a lot of room for growth.
right, exactly. It's like, hey, I absolutely want to pay you more. Here's how I can do that. And so I'd look at that too, Scott. Cody, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you have a question, concern, comment, grievance. I don't know if he's still with us.
Okay, I figured out how to turn the mic off here. So we struggle with this in my industry daily because the technicians will or employees they ride together, you know, and one will accidentally leave their pay stub in the truck, you know. So uh, throwing money at a good employee creates havoc because then it becomes, well, this person makes this much, I know more than this person, you know. Whenever there's options that don't even involve why you're giving that person this much money. So I would just be careful of trying to match, you know. So whenever this happens to me, someone comes to me, it lets me know a couple of things. One, the loyalty is not there anymore and they're looking for a job. So I encourage them to go on and try that job. And if, you know, if it don't work out, they're willing to come back, but also know that they're willing to move as well. So it's kind of a catch-22 there, but I never say, okay, well, I'll match that or whatever, because I feel like they're at their full potential here. So I don't know. I'll just be careful putting money with them, just
Yeah.
because it creates a snowball down the road, you know. And I tell every one of my guys, do not let me hold you back from bettering yourself. If you find a job where you know financially is better for you, please take it, because you'd be silly not to.
Yeah. And it's also encouragement to always be looking. You know, we never want to be in this situation where somebody feels like they can bend us over a barrel, or where we
Sure.
feel like we can't take opportunity because we don't have enough team. Like, and so I would just use this as encouragement, especially for those employees that are hard to find, guys. These are like licensed techs, lead carpenters, project managers, these people that you're not going to get a ton of applicants for. They're just far and few in between. I would always be looking for those, so that if you're ever in a position like Scott's in right now, he's not feeling like he has to super like accommodate this person, because he knows that he has somebody coming through. You know, he's got other opportunities that he could call. I see Dale with Arnold's Plumbing on here. I know that you don't have a mic, Dale, but I know that he firsthand has lost guys for more money or less hours or a better hourly, and then within a couple months they're trying to come back to him. A lot of times people don't realize what they have until they try to take advantage of something else. Or I see this a lot with people who leave to the union, you know, end up crawling back as quickly as they can. And so just keep that in mind too. But that company culture is so important. I think that's something that people care about. If they know that the business owner really cares about them, if they know if they have a family emergency, you're going to accommodate them. Like, those types of things do matter to people, you know, and those are outside of pay. What other questions do we have here today?
I was going to say that's encouraging, because I got one doing the same exact thing right now. And that's exactly what I told him, you know, basically, you know, don't fault you for wanting better opportunity, you know, go and try it. And I suspect he'll be back, but we'll we'll see here in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a great question, Scott. I know that it probably gave you, you know, not a clear answer, but I hope it maybe led you kind of wherever you were leaning, maybe confirmed it. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong here. I think it's probably super situational. But as the business coach, my main priority is this guy producing what we need him to produce? You know, and if he's not, then I would let him go. Even if he is a great employee, I would find somebody who can.
And I made the assumption, but I think it's a good question to ask broadly. But Scott, for you in particular, and then for others here, who already is implementing some form of merit-based pay? Some sort of incentive structure that's kind of the main compensation.
We are not at this point, but that is something that we will be looking at next in our situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan.
We are right on the cusp of implementing it, but do not have anything implemented for like install guys versus service guys, because the service guys for sure are going to be on a performance-based pay, but have not fully figured out a plan in how to do that if possible for this install guys. So just curious if there's some creative ways we can do that actually work well.
I could just say, as far as on the install side, you can always have a go backs kind of a situation where you track and how many times you have to go back to their install and refix and stuff. And that could help with your merit based situation, because it all reflects on the company in the end.
Spencer, you and I are on the same wavelength there. For like incentivizing project managers or an install team, you know, these people who aren't necessarily selling or like doing service work, incentivizing them for did we stay on the time frame that we gave? Did we stay on budget? Did we get it done early or under budget? Did we have any callbacks? Like, those are all things that you can incentivize and reward. It's kind of that carrot and stick concept, you know, where we need some type of stick if we are getting called back, some type of consequence, and then we want to have a reward if that behavior is, you know, not an issue. And so that's what I would be looking at with your install team, Jordan.
And I would say with that a little bit, and sorry, Michael, I jumped in there, but what I would say with that too is with these installs, you can still do merit-based in the sense of a dollar amount for the activity that was done. However you market that, or sorry, manufacture that percentage or whatever it is, you make that dollar amount. And then exactly what Nicole and Spencer said, you have the bonuses that come on top based on completion, effectiveness, and speed and things like that that make it more for them, more incentivizing for them to do them better. Go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to ask, it raises concerns, like let's say it's a time incentive, that it's going to incentivize them to cut corners. How do you mitigate, or overselling? I don't want them to get pushy with selling. So how do you mitigate that while incentivizing?
Yeah, so two different things there. I'll jump in real quick, but two different things. One is overselling, and then the other is with speed of the actual execution of the project. With the overselling side, there's a bit of a natural guard on that, because if they overprice themselves, they're going to not win jobs. So there's some piece of that. Now that's not enough to be reliant on, but that's through a lot of training and management, and that when you have a sales member that's working for you, you're going to have a sales meeting where you review bids together and ask them, why is this person not closing, or why did this? And you're going to be able to keep track of that when you have those regular meetings. On the project delivery side, that's the piece about what Spencer and Nicole said with the callback policy. If you're having to go back and redo work, or if there's not a project manager that's doing kind of the final walkthrough punch list, that's a part of it. The other part, you can make it contingent on 5-star reviews, or you can make it contingent on happy calls. When the office calls at the end of the project and says, hey, how was your experience with us? As we ought to be doing. That can be a part of the incentive structure there to kind of protect if that's an issue. You don't always have to put that stuff in place if you got really solid employees to begin with. But if you're starting to notice that's an issue, those are safety measures you can put there for sure.
Totally agree. It's usually those issues only become the issues if we are not paying attention to our team, if we aren't tracking our estimates, if we aren't tracking our sales team, and if we're not tracking, quality or callbacks. So for all of you, those shouldn't really be problems. I think you all are managing the team where you would be able to catch something quickly. And I think you have to assess your company culture too, where it's like, do I really have a culture where these people are going to be like crazy jacking up prices just to win a sale? Like, if you have somebody on your team you're concerned with that, I would maybe question if they should be on your team, but I think for most of you, we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
Great questions, guys. What other questions do we have today? Thoughts?
Do a majority of you guys do your payroll in-house, or do you have, for example, an outside bookkeeping company or something like that process your payroll?
We do our payroll through Paychecks. It's a third-party vendor that specializes in payroll and a lot of other benefit packages and stuff. So it's more of a EPO.
Use ADP. I've always highly recommended. It's always thought highly of using a payroll service instead of doing it ourselves. I've done it in-house before, and it's very time consuming, and for the price they charge, it's well worth the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did I see
we would.
somebody's hand come up?
Yeah, I was going to say we use QuickBooks full service payroll. All we got to do is just verify their hours and punch the hours in, and they do everything else. They take care of all the quarterly payments. What I like about them is if you already use QuickBooks Online like we do, they take care of all the entries for payroll within QuickBooks as well. So everything just gets done. You just punch in a number.
Okay.
And they're real reasonable on price too.
So I just got like a free 3 months, and I decided I'd wait until tax season. Is that a good idea?
What can you explain what you got, Spencer? You say that again?
Well, I joined QuickBooks and I'm paying just to use their program. And with that, you get a free, I guess, a month, maybe not 3 months, a free month or whatever of using the bookkeeping agent. So I just kind of told them, like, I'm going to save the time of using the agent until tax season and then deal with it that way. I figured that would be a good way to manage freely on my end, having to pay some guy to go through all of that stuff. And
Yeah. I don't know if somebody has used QuickBooks services for taxes. I would be a little bit skeptical of using a QuickBooks agent. To me, it's kind of like if I have cancer, I'm not going to go to urgent care for treatment. Like not saying that urgent care doctors can't be great, but I'm going to want to go to a specialist, or I'm going to want to go to like a primary care physician, and there is no better investment than a good bookkeeper, a good accountant. We see so many clients spending way too much on taxes, both business and personal, just because they have an accountant that's sleeping on the job. If your accountant is not actively meeting with you, if they are not actively giving you advice, if they aren't sending you a profit and loss statement every month and saying, let me sit down and go over this with you and tell you what I'm seeing, you need a new accountant. You want somebody who's active in there. If your tax professional is just like doing your taxes and not recommending anything to you or giving you any advice, then, and if you are still filing as a LLC and not a S corp, that's a big red flag to me of your tax provider, whoever's doing your taxes. And so it's not something fun. It's not something to try to find the cheapest option. Um,
What I was going to say earlier too is what Scott said. We fully stand behind that. It is worth the investment, just as Nicole has made clear here too. We would always recommend that you use an outside bookkeeping company, and almost every time they're going to also payroll, do your processing for payroll. And kind of lumping that stuff together is really helpful. And as Nicole was making that point too, I don't know if everyone's super aware of this, but also through Redmond Growth, we have a bookkeeping service that we can offer that does tax preparation as well. That you just need to talk to your coach about, because it'll be the stuff that she's talking about, where you have a meeting with that CPA monthly. You're going to get your
Yeah.
bookkeeping done throughout the year, and then tax prep is going to do stuff like
And
LLC sub S.
and they do payroll, and they give you unlimited communication. Like a lot of accountants, lawyers, they're going to charge you per hour, per minute that you need them outside of like the dedicated meetings. That's not the case with them. Like they want you to ask questions. They want to be able to give you feedback. And we also just do taxes as well, but for 90% of our clients, we would recommend having your accounting and, bookkeeping and tax all through the same provider. So if anybody's needing more information on that, reach out to your coach, and we can get you set up.
And then Pete, I think you had your hand up, and then Michael.
So my question, I'm in the middle of looking for a bookkeeper and accountant, and I'd be interested in, learning more about Redmond's. But what should I be paying a good bookkeeper and accountant?
So a lot of times I hear it's spending, around $500 or so a month, and that's for somebody who's not even like actively meeting with them or doing taxes. That's somebody who's just kind of lower tier. I would say that most good ones are going to be over $1,000 a month, and that's to do your payroll, your bookkeeping, your tax, and be very active in it. I see a lot of people charging over that amount, and not doing all of those things. And so our services is around that $1,000 mark if you go through Redmond Growth. Again, talk to your coach so we can, talk to you about what all that includes. But I would say that's about average. It's one of those things if you're getting good services, you're going to be paying a premium, for those services.
And then Michael.
Yeah, so I actually met with the I think his name was Spencer of Redmond and Growth, the CPA, and I was wondering, I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but he was hitting all the points of what you guys say he should be doing. Is anybody in the chat? Has anybody using them? Can anybody give us some
I think you're
real life
thinking of
testimonies?
Shane is his name.
Shane, yes,
Shane,
thank
yes.
you. Sorry.
It's
Yeah,
okay. Those get confused, and then we have a Caden and a Kevin, and I have clients constantly getting those two names confused as well.
Shane.
Um,
Got the S right, I guess.
Yes. I don't know if Laura or Matt Pierce are still on the call here. If either of you are in position, they, as of a couple months ago, switched over to Shane, and it's absolutely rocked their world. She can't sing the praises enough.
Awesome.
Laura, I see you're on here. If you'll just little blurb what it's been like.
Hi, good morning. Yes, Shane and his team are outstanding. The communication is beyond exceptional. He has a very down-to-earth, easygoing nature. You know, my experience in the past with CPAs, they can kind of be stuffy and dry. When you're talking about, you know, your money, it's a very delicate, personal conversation, and he's just really easy to communicate with. So I highly recommend him, and I'm thoroughly happy with what he's done for us. I had the same CPA for 14 years, and I would cry before I'd get on a call with her because I just knew it wasn't going to be nice. And nothing against her. She was a good person. It's just the experience I'm having with Shane is very different. So highly recommend him. Love him.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Laura. And for anybody who is implementing Profit First, getting ready to implement Profit First, I know Pete, you just started doing it. That is something that Shane is very knowledgeable in. Most accountants, when you tell them that you have 7 or more bank accounts, they tend to shit little green apples, is what my dad always likes to say in those moments. They do not like it, but Shane is somebody who's not going to have issues with that. He's knowledgeable on it. He gets the reasoning for it and can help you with it. And so, yes, exactly, Aaron. I appreciate your comment in the chat here.
Oh my gosh. And you tell me I say stuff that's off the cuff, Nicole. What the heck?
No, it's Jonathan. I don't know if any of you guys remember Jonathan Rude. He worked here for a really long time. We adore him, but he grew up in Belgium, and he would constantly get American sayings confused, but it would not stop him from trying to use them. So one of my favorites is he used to tell clients, yeah, just put that in the crock pot and sit on it for a while. And I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
not a thing. Good try though. I see a few more hands. Jason, I'll go ahead and jump to you, and then Rick, I'll grab you after.
Okay, just real quick. So when you're talking bookkeeping, doing your bookkeeping, outside of the company, is that, I mean, are you including like doing the invoicing and all that stuff, or is it paying your bills and stuff like that?
So I believe most bookkeeping services, unless you do have a bookkeeper in-house, is probably not going to be paying bills and doing invoices for you. I think that's more so on the side that you still have to manage.
Okay.
But they would be the one who are like reconciling your books, categorizing everything, doing payroll. There
Monthly
are companies that
P&Ls.
just do payroll, but I would stay away from companies that like are just going to do one thing. Typically that's overpriced, and it would just be easier for you to do it. If you're gonna make the investment, which we would recommend, find somebody who's gonna do it all.
Okay.
Keep it all in one place. Rick, I see your hand up.
So this conversation comes at a great time for us, or actually not so great. Our bookkeeper has been like nowhere. We try to call him, no answer. I finally got I'm the one that between me and Scott, I'm the one that can light the fires. And so I called, and I called the guy that was supposed to be doing our book work. He's like, man, listen, I don't work for them anymore. They was not handling their tax clients properly. He said, I can get you in touch with somebody, but they didn't have the same goals as I had. They were focused on their own personal investments. And so I got a hold of a girl, and I think she's great. I think she's trying, but the owner, I mean, even this week, she texts and emails us and says, hey, Scott, did you get the email from so-and-so? And Scott's like, no, there's not been an email. And so we pay them. We've still not done nothing for 2023 as far as taxes because they're supposed to be handling it. And then we paid them monthly every month. At what time do we jump out of this sinking boat? And let's say that we decided to go with Redmond Grove. Is that something, is all that money that we paid them a lost cause, or what's everybody's opinion on that?
I think that's something you have to figure out with them, Rick. I would hope that they would work with you with giving you a refund or something, just because they did like wildly drop the ball where the guy who was on your account wasn't even there, or working. And so I think that's something you need to talk to them. And I know that you can be the bad cop in between you and Scott. And so if you need to pull the bad cop card and get something there, but I would definitely, the fact that they didn't reach out to you whenever they had to let somebody go, that's going to happen, that we're not going to hold them account, people, you're going to have to fire people sometimes. So we're not going to like blame them for that. But the fact that they didn't reach out to you and let you know what's going on and be taken care of, to me, I would immediately be making this switch. That shows me that you're either not organized, which that should be the number one thing that should matter
For
to
an
you as an accountant.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely be making the move if it's not somebody else, and I want to let everybody know that like, I don't really care who you use as long as they're doing a really good job. Like,
Correct.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But we are so passionate here about that being such a good investment for your business. It's not something that you need to learn or take on yourself. That's too much. There's so many other things for you to be doing, but that's something that we've got to make sure is right. If the money is not making sense, if it's not being well taken care of, if your taxes are not being taken advantage of in the best way possible, like, that's such a vital part of your business. Find somebody you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw Aaron put in the chat here where he's like, hey, whoever's going to take over your account is like at that company is going to be taking over a mess. And so you'll probably end up being charged more and being behind compared to just starting over new with somebody you can trust. So I totally agree there, Aaron. That's a good point. What other questions do we have here today? And something that we actually talked about yesterday, guys, and it's not on the books yet, but we actually might have Shane jump on a group call here. And if we do that, we will let you guys know in the notifications that, hey, Shane, our accountant's going to be on the group call. But that is something that we're playing around with just so that he can introduce himself to you guys and answer questions, that because Bryce and I might know more than the average bear, but please do not ask us in-depth tax questions or anything like that. That's not our wheelhouse.
We also legally can't answer some of those questions, but yeah. And I was going to also add to Rick, even for the sake of taxes and giving the government what it's owed, whatever, for the sake of your business and kind of knowing the numbers, if you guys haven't been able to look at numbers in your business on like a monthly P&L, seeing your profit and loss and stuff like that, aside from looking at your bank accounts, your business is going to be really well served by getting that taken care of as soon as you can, because there's so much important insight to draw from looking at the numbers that you haven't been able to. You've kind of been, blinded in one eye for a little bit, just kind of moving forward. So it's not just for the sake of doing taxes and whatever else. It's also for the sake of what you can do better for your business with accurate knowledge.
Well, and I'll tell you, to add to that, when this guy gave us this girl's numbers, like she had to literally tell me, "Can I call you back? I'm in the dark." And then she called me back and she's like, "Sir, I'm sorry. you was right. You have been dropped. And so we don't know what's been done, what's not been done. And then now they're saying, hey, we left the voicemail for Scott. And then Scott's like, no, there's no voicemail. And then this girl is, I think she's trying, but then, it's fallen. Possibly the whole thing is falling through the cracks. And we don't know because we can't get anyone on the phone or anything.
Yeah.
So
That's a very unfortunate, unique situation that hopefully no one else ever has to encounter. But yeah, that's wild.
I guess we need to go with Redmond Grove so we can blame them for absolutely everything.
That's right.
That is the benefit of having everything in house, everything through one place.
Yeah.
What
Cool.
other
What other-
questions do we have today? Thoughts? What are we running into? If I jump on a call with one of you guys later and you guys have a question or burning fire, I'm going to be like, what the hell?
If you use your
Where were
coaching
you?
session later, what the heck? No, of course not.
So I have a question. We're doing one of those home shows in Dallas in November. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with them, but we're going to be presenting there with a booth, and I just don't know what to expect for the outcome. Does anybody have any luck with that?
I would love to know that if anybody here has done any home shows and what that's been like.
So I actually went to the Build Expo yesterday. That was the only reason why I'm speaking up. I didn't have a booth or anything, but I walked through with a buddy of mine who does interior work. And there's a lot of booths, and it seems like it's a lot of people trying to get other people's attention to make those connections. But from what I hear, there's a lot of networking opportunity, and we sat through a bunch of great seminars that were free, sales seminars and whatnot. So we found something from it, and I think there's a lot of networking that can be done there. But that was just my one-day trip yesterday. My 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think. Go ahead, Bryce.
I was gonna say, Peter, you talking about like an HGTV kind of thing, like a television show, or are you talking about like a trade show?
It's more like a trade show that
Okay.
it's geared towards home renovations.
Cool.
They have already pre-sold like 10,000 tickets to consumers.
Yeah. Yeah, Surface Renew is one of our clients. I wish they were on the call here. They go to a lot of home shows, and they definitely, so they do like bathtub refinishing, countertops, that type of thing. And so they can do residential, and they do have residential clients and stuff, but the majority of their revenue comes from like property management groups, apartment complexes, even like remodelers who need somebody to come in and refinish something. So when they go to home shows, that's primarily who they're trying to target, is they are trying to get in front of those people and say, hey, this is why we should be your go-to person. Now, if you're trying to, the thing with home shows, and Michael kind of said it, you do need to stand out. And so like we used to work with this outdoor builder, like they just really like renovated backyards, so they did like the outdoor kitchens, pergolas, pools, stuff like that, and they would literally bring in a wood pergola, like they literally set it up inside of the trade show. Why? And they would literally tack on a plasma screen TV onto it. They would have a couch, like they really set it up. Why? Because they stood out. People would go just sit there. People would go hang out. It's cool. It's weird that somebody's willing to do that. And so I'm not saying that you need to go crazy like that, but just kind of keep that in mind. You are competing with a lot of different booths. And so we're kind of the mindset of, if you aren't going to kind of go all out with your booth, it might even be worth it to just go and attend, kind of like Michael did, and try to make connections, and where you're more approaching people to doing what we call Dream 100 work, where you're trying to let them know why you should be their go-to guy.
I love that. I appreciate the advice.
Yep. And the only other client that I've worked with that did a booth at a trade show like that, the main thing that you can get value-wise from doing it is emails. To be able to run an email campaign and some sort of an offer, it's one of the main things you can get, because people are not going to make a buying decision at all when they're there at the trade show. So if you have some sort of way to get information to be able to reach out and follow back up with them, that's what's going to be most valuable.
Yes, that's such a good point, Bryce. For Service Renew, they do a giveaway at every single one. And usually the giveaway is like this basket that has a bunch of like goodies in it of different things. Like they're not giving away like $50 off your bathtub refinishing. It's like, no, let's get everybody's emails that we can. So let's have something that like anybody would want. Like I know one time they did like a Coach purse for women, and they did a tool set for men. Very, very stereotypical gender gifts. But they got a ton of emails from that. And then a week after the home show, they did a Facebook Live announcing the winners, and then contacted them and sent it out. And we still to this day nurture those lists that he got from those home shows. We're sending them emails every single week of something. Check out this project we just did. Are you wanting to redo your kitchen before Thanksgiving? Our schedule's booking up. Like we're staying in front of that, because something can come from that, even if it doesn't immediately.
So what do you think about a giveaway for Facebook like, share, and that kind of thing?
I would be more inclined to be getting people's emails compared to getting likes and shares.
Okay.
And so that would be my recommendation. I'm not opposed to getting Google reviews from people at home shows and incentivizing them for it. What we do know is that if you get a ton of reviews on the same day at the same IP address, there's a good chance some reviews are not going to stick or are going to get taken away. And so I would be more, I see more value in getting people's emails so we can market to them that way. And as we've been talking, I've been trying to find a photo of that Outdoor Builders booth, but I'm sharing my screen here. Here's a photo of their booth, which I want to say he was set up at a fair here. So he was there for like 2 weeks, but to get like,
that's awesome.
that's a sweet ass booth. I'm going to go sit in that booth, Great question, guys.
Oh, actually, there's also a comment there in the chat that we didn't see. Stephanie said, we did a Street of Dreams in Portland, sort of a more fun event for realtors, and some clients didn't really receive bites from the event, but the trade shows are highly recommended if you're trying to network. So what we've been talking about, but having someone fun and friendly to be at the booth is key. And then what really brings people in is what Nicole was talking about with those, something anybody would want, and then something that makes yours stand out, something more than a brochure or candy, if you can.
Yeah. And we can work, Pete, you're a newer client, but one thing that you are going to create together is a one sheet, which will clearly explain what makes you different from everybody else, kind of what are the tangible benefits that somebody can expect from Brace Across compared to somebody else. And we like to use those kind of as business cards. It's got your contact information. It's got a QR code where they can scan it and go read reviews, got your services on it, and then it has that comparison chart. And so that's something that you and I will create together, and something that you would take to any type of networking event along with using it in your sales process. What other thoughts do we have today, guys? Questions? The feedback's been awesome today. Really appreciate everybody in the chat and speaking up.
I have a quick question. You mentioned business cards, and I need to design a new business card. Canva seems like the go-to. I know Redmond has a design group. What is everyone using for business cards to design? Keep them fresh.
Yeah. Have us do it. If you
Okay,
have some
great. Perfect.
if you have some examples, Michael, of ones that you've liked, you know, if you have some examples, Michael, of ones that you've liked, you know, send those to us, even if it's like Google searching and finding a couple online that you like. But really all we need is like your logo. With business cards, the thing is just keeping it simple. I would not have a business card for every person in your company. That is too much work, too much money. Just have one business card that has the company phone number on it and information. You know, it's okay to have yours as an owner, have your name on it, but I would definitely not be making one for like every single person in the company. And then if we haven't created a one sheet for you yet, Michael, let's create a one sheet, because like I said, that's something that people we encourage using over a business card, just because it's less likely to get thrown away and it has more valuable information on it than just a business card.
Great. Good to know. Thank you.
But yeah, we can absolutely design with those. Because
Yeah.
I know none of you are trying to be graphic designers in here, I don't think so.
And to make it clear as well, with urban growth, like that's a part of what you get with us is that graphics design team. So that's not something additional per piece or something like that.
Unless you're an apprentice client, but
right.
we can talk about that if needed. You know what we could do there.
Cool.
But for the majority of you, it's absolutely included. You just need to find a print shop. We don't have one of those here in the office.
Yeah. That'd be crazy if we had a room in the back full of printers and we would just ship out stuff to clients all the time. That would not work.
Side hustle.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Do some Kinkas on the side. Cool. Any other last minute thoughts or questions, things you guys want to throw out there before we let y'all wrap up and get on to the end of the week here, tail end of the week?
Awesome. Okay, well, guys, really appreciate the participation here today. Just every group call that we do, it's just always so nice to see the participation and to hear the questions, and such a valuable time spent. So really appreciate you guys being here and making it happen. We're going to close out this group call the same way we always do. So if you're able to unmute, we're going to do a 3, 2, 1 growth. See if people are unmuting, because I'm nosy.
It's happening.
Okay, we're going to do 3, 2, 1, grow.
Go.
Have a great weekend, guys.